All right, I'm Charlene. I'm a grateful alcoholic. It's good to see everybody. I know it's been a while since I've been over here. And I'm really excited to hear Rachel share tonight. And I'm honored to be able to have the opportunity to introduce her. I was thinking, what are the things about Rachel that really stick out to me? And, I was listening to the Third Step Promises being read, and that's it, discovering to face life successfully, no longer in all this fear, being reborn and being able to walk through all this stuff. But some of the things that really stick out to me mainly are authenticity. She is just not afraid to be herself. She's not afraid to ask for help. And I really appreciate your genuineness in everything that you do. And if you don't know Rachel, I highly suggest you get a chance to get to know her. She's a pretty awesome chick. So with no further ado, turn it over to Rachel.
Hi, y'all. I'm Rachel. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Rachel.
Oh, what a ride this has been. I'm very grateful for Charlene. Thank you for introducing me. I do have some notes because my history with telling my story, I rush through and I leave out a ton of stuff, and y'all get out of here at about 30 minutes after. It was a lot more complicated than I usually try to make it, but it's just, I guess I should start where I came from. I was born, I'm a native Springonian. I was born to a teenage mother, and we lived with my alcoholic grandfather and an untreated Al-Anon, who is a non-member of Codependence Anonymous. And she was awesome. My grandma was awesome and beautiful and so loving, but sometimes I guess that, you'll hear later in my story how that affected how I treated other people too. I was born early and big, and my lungs weren't fully developed, but you can tell I have some healed since then. And when I came home from the hospital after healing in there, Christmas Eve is when I came home. And so I heard years later from my grandfather that I was his little Christmas gift. And I'm like, that is just the sweetest. He was very loving, and I think that, everybody gets a different version of people, whether it's like my nephews who I see as these angel babies, right? Like they can do no wrong, versus, my kids who are fallible just like me. Gosh, they teach me so much though. I often found myself in childhood, let me go back just a little bit. I remember very distinctly how much joy I found in the simpleness of life back then. The climbing of trees and listening to my mom's heartbeat while she talked on the telephone. She was a gabbing teenager, right? Just those little simple things, it takes me back to there was some happiness before there was just, complete and utter chaos. My mom met my dad when I was around 6, and he adopted me and raised me, and he taught me things like naps are lazy. And he taught me to take the house key and raise the kids, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I remember crying with my little brother because he was a newborn, and I couldn't get him to stop crying, and both parents were working, and both of my parents instilled in me a very strong sense of wanting to work and work a lot. But also with that whole, I'm trying really hard not to cuss. Because my son has told me before that I would be the perfect mom if I didn't cuss. I know that's not true, but I'm going to try to make it an hour. With that being said, I was taught never to half-butt things by my dad, and I remember one time I mopped the floor and I did it wrong, and he made me remop it 8 times that day. And so one of the, the stories I liked to tell myself was, well, if I can't do it perfect, I might as well just not try. And so that had a repeating factor in my life of, when things got too hard or too overwhelming, I would just kind of shut down. My grandma told me things like, well, you can't just bury your head under the sand for the whole rest of your life. And I thought, well, it's working okay right now. And, try and think where stuff kind of went off rails. I never felt I quite compared or measured up to the standard of what I thought my parents wanted from me. And, some of that could be real, some could be contrived and made up in my fantasy land. But some of those stories that I would tell myself made me want to go find love outside of my family. And especially once traumatic things started happening. I've experienced a lot of death in my life. People close to me, freak accidents. My mom's goddaughter drowned in our pool when I was in high school. When I was in high school was also when we had 9/11. And my best friend's dad got hit by a car after we all went out to eat one night. He had gotten in a fight drunk with his girlfriend, tried to walk home, and got hit by a car. All those three events were super close together, and they ensued an extreme amount of anxiety. Because I was already when I was in middle school, I was being bullied a whole hell of a lot. And it was all day and it was every day. And there was a time in that time frame that Mom said, well, you're going to try out for cheerleading. And I'm like, okay, why not? But I think that, part of what really helped me in that was I had no idea what I was going up against. So I had not really any fear. There was no fear around it. I was like, whatever, I'm just going to try it and get good at it and see if I can do it. And there was one guy that would follow me around, and whenever they would talk about on the announcements, he'd go, you're too ugly to make cheerleading. And he seriously harassed me all the time. I want to acknowledge that he is sick in the hospital, not doing well right now, so I want to send some positivity his way. I think as kids we hurt other people because we're hurt, and I don't have any ill in my heart towards him anymore. But that is such a result of this program, because it used to be if you said the guy's name, I'm like, ooh. And I still hang out with his friends. I work with his friends. So he comes up frequently. Well, I didn't make it that year. And I remember Mom went and bought me my first boombox and Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. And I cried on the trampoline all weekend. I remember the secret song at the end, too. I would just replay it and replay it and replay it, and I cried and cried. And then for whatever reason, at this moment in my life, I decided, fuck all those people. Oh, I didn't make it. I'm going to make them be friends with me, and I'm going to make it. And that's what I did. I worked really hard, and I made cheerleading the next year. But cheerleading gave me a level of confidence I didn't have in my life before that. And then also it gave me an escape from babysitting the kids. It did. It gave me something else to do besides watch the kids. And they were getting really intolerable. They were chasing each other with knives and pans, and it was insane. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't have somebody else die on my clock, so I'm going to run from the situation. And that's exactly what I did, is I ran. And that's when I started also drinking alcoholically. Because if I would hear sirens, automatically everybody was dead. That's how I thought. I just start calling anybody I loved and checking and making sure if they were alive. It was a really irrational reaction, but it's how I handled things, and I just needed to shut that down. So I would drink, and I would look for the drinkers. I could always find people who would drink just as hard as me, or I thought they were. No telling if they actually were. I remember one time I gave one of the cheerleaders a big thing of Parrot Bay before we went to a concert, and she ended up having alcohol poisoning, all this stuff, and I thought, well, she's doing it wrong. Everybody knows you eat. She could have ruined all the fun for us. I mean, she's getting her stomach pumped, and that was my mindset. Just goes to show you how sick I was already. I moved in with my best friend because I felt like my family didn't understand me. No one understood me, and I knew better, and I still went to school, and I still worked really hard. I had goals in mind, like becoming a professional hairdresser, and I followed through with those things. I very shortly after moving in with my best friend, I moved in with my kid's father and his mom. And it just was an unhealthy relationship for both of us, and it went on for quite a while. But as a result of that, I have two really beautiful kids that I love so much. I have to thank him for a lot because of, where it goes from here. I kept it together when I was a mom and a wife. We partied very rarely. It was mostly weekends. There wasn't a whole lot of blacking out because there was favors involved. And, it wasn't until I realized that I lost my best friend and my grandma. I think, what's this, 2012? Somewhere around there, 2012 or 2013. And when that happened, it was almost like an out-of-body experience for me. It was like I was experiencing myself, my life, and my relationship through the eyes of them, because I felt like they could finally see everything I was hiding. And it made it real for me. I mean, I could literally hear my best friend in my head saying, she called me Shadow. She said, Shadow, are you serious? Like, this is what you've been putting up with, and this is the life that you're choosing? She's like, you have so much more. And, gosh, I have so many people I love in this room. I'm so grateful for y'all. And, because of those reasons, I left. And I just didn't see what was coming for me, because when I left, I no longer had that identity of myself as wife and mother. And I also had a big mourning of the loss of the chaos. And I didn't see that coming. I didn't realize how attached to that kind of walking on eggshells feeling I was so used to living in. And when my house is clean and there's no kids there and I didn't know what to do with my hands, alcohol took over. And I found myself hanging out with the outcast and the women who were just as sad as I was. I mean, when I tell you sad, like I don't even think that's the right word for it. I mean, pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization, I guess, is how they say it in the book. I didn't see a way out, and in my family, we just die. That's what alcoholics do, we die. And that's not how my story is going to end, thank God. But I'd like to say that's where my drinking stopped, is right there, then and there, but it's not. It got so much worse, and as a result, I ended up, my family owns salons, and I was working out of a room at my dad's salon and embarrassing the hell out of him because I was smelling like alcohol all the time. And if I got too drunk up there, I would sleep upstairs in the salon, and then people would get there early to work, and here I am, hungover looking like crap and representing the family business. And so I was asked to leave, and I was talked to about my drinking. And then I got another job. I was real good at getting jobs. I was not real good at keeping them. I found a lot of jobs where I could drink at them, and so I didn't have to get sick during the day. My drinking was to that point already where I was sick every day. I mean, I called it anxiety, though. My mom would drive me to work sometimes when I wouldn't have a car, and I'm like, I need you to stop at CVS. And she's like, you're getting something to drink, aren't you? And I'm like, listen, just mind your business, okay? Because I have anxiety, and I don't know what to do with it. And I really believed it. I believed that my drinking was controlling my anxiety, and it was not. It was probably one of the main causes of it, now looking back. This went on so when I lost that job, I got another job, and I lost that one. I lost my car and my house within just a matter of weeks. And when that happened, I realized I can't even take care of myself. How am I supposed to take care of the kids? And so, with a very heavy heart, I signed them over to my ex-husband and said, I don't know what to do. I can't take care of them, and I trust that you can. And for that, I'm very grateful that he stepped in where I couldn't. Very, very grateful. I know not everyone can say that they would have had the same circumstances. And then I thought, well, this is where it ends, because nobody needs me anymore. And I drank just like that, as if there was, this is it, this is over. If I'm going to die when my grandfather died at 63, that's way too long. Like, I can't live like this, like how I'm feeling for that long. And it went on for about 3 more years of just insanity. I mean, I would go to bars, sad as hell, but didn't want anybody to talk to me. So I put headphones in, and then I would sit there going, why is no one asking me why I'm sad? I mean, it was pure and utter insanity. About 2 months before I came in 2018, my best friend started coming to AA. And she was my main running buddy. She could drink just as much Jameson as me. We could start just as early, and we could kind of tag team, who was sober enough to handle the events for the day. Like who could make the kids breakfast or whatever. It was terrible, but it was, when she came in before me and I thought, well, she's worse than me. Maybe I can do this. Like, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. And then my mom followed her, and seeing my mom heal has been one of the biggest blessings in this whole thing. Being happy to see my mom has been a huge blessing for me. There was a lot of times in my story where, my family wasn't doing it right, and I just cut them out, like completely, years at a time. Just completely cut them out and block them off, and if I don't see you, I don't have to deal with you. And I can still be like that today sometimes, but I really am. I'm a work in progress. My book says "Find Your Light." I love that. So when they came in here, I started to try to come, and I couldn't stop drinking to get here. I remember my first meeting. I don't remember my first meeting, actually. I do remember what they said at the end. Do you think you have a problem with alcohol? And I just kind of laughed and said, yeah, obviously. That's the only thing I remember. But I did see hope that day, somehow in some way. I don't know how, but I did. I knew that y'all were doing something that was keeping you from drinking, and I believed that for some reason. So when I got really sick, when I was try not to talk in circles here, when I was in high school, I got mono, and they didn't know. They misdiagnosed it, and it turned into a disease called Guillain-Barré. It's a neurological disorder where my legs would just randomly give out on me. And the doctors were telling me I was lying, that all the symptoms were made up, the not having the reflexes, my legs collapsing. And then it took one appointment with one neurologist who knew exactly what it was. And I had an answer for that. But as a result of that, I couldn't do any of the cheer or anything anymore. The reason I tell you all that, though, is because when I was drinking, I got so sick because I wasn't eating either that I reactivated that. And so towards the end, my legs were hurting all the time. And I knew it was back. Because it would feel like I had worked out super hard and I couldn't really move my legs. And then one night I was staying with a friend because I didn't want to be found in my apartment if I did ever pass. I didn't want to be found there like that. And I was staying with a friend, and I really couldn't go on anymore. I knew I couldn't. And so I prayed that night, and I prayed different than I have in the past. And I said, make it so I can't drink again. And in the morning I woke up, and, same as always, I thought nothing had changed. And I went to walk down the stairs, and I thought for like a split second, I don't know if my legs are going to work. And I ignored it, and I took the step, and I flew down the stairs. And I landed on my shins. I thought my legs were broken. I just sat there for a second, and I happened to have my phone on me, and I called my mom, and I said, it's over. And she's like, all right, what do I need to do? She just got into mom mode. She said, what do I need to do? And I said, nothing today. I have anxiety. I'm going to drink one more day. And that's what I did. But the next day I went to the hospital. And I haven't had to have a drink since June 20th of 2018. Coming from having to have a drink not only, morning to night, but in the middle of the night, because I would wake up just freaking out. It's crazy to me to think. It's almost like it's a whole different life. It's almost like a whole different me. But I still have some of the same thoughts and traits sometimes. But when I got out of the hospital, I knew I wasn't going to drink anymore. It was weird. It was wasn't that the obsession was completely gone? Because it was a normal way of life for me. But I didn't want to drink. And that was different. That was what was different. That was what got me started. And then I was 30 days in, and I wasn't coming in here because you guys hug, and you guys call me, and you text me, and all that love I thought that I had been wanting. I just thought, nope. I'm going to keep people away. I have a bubble and I like it like that. But 30 days in, I wanted a chip. And so I came up here, and I just kept coming back. You know, it's like I knew that my life was the way I was as a result of my actions. And it was pretty messed up. I mean, it seemed irreparable. It really did. But because I was at a point, I think, for me, of being that broken, I had enough willingness to try something different. Like take y'all suggestions in your phone calls. Your love. I let y'all in enough to love me, which is crazy. I got willing to get a sponsor and sponsor people. It's just been such a wild ride. It's like I wasn't even employable before being here. And I'm employable. I sell pools now if y'all need a pool. But I don't talk about that often. And the reason is because I don't see that as my worth. I think I want to help people heal. I know I want to help people heal. And I know that started here. And I know it will continue outside of these rooms. But it's like if everybody could just see them as we see them. I had this realization the other day that when people tell me mean things, I love to use it as a beating stick, right? But there could be some growth from it. And the more that I am willing to take what somebody says as a grain of salt, like I don't need the extra help beating myself up. But if it's something that, hey, maybe there might be some truth there, like maybe I need to look at this and I could change something that I'm doing. But also I had the realization in that same thinkitation in the car that when they say something nice, they're telling the truth too. And that was a huge realization just last week. I'm like, oh man, I'm so bad at accepting compliments. But I need to be able to stay in the mindset to be able to help somebody else, to see that there is good in me, there's good in you, there's good in everybody, but there's bad too. And, it's usually me that's labeling whether it's good or bad, and what do I know? I know how to get myself drunk and lose everything and rebuild and lose everything and rebuild. But this is the first time that I'm building on a foundation. And if you're new, keep coming back, because it doesn't matter if it's a good day or a bad day. If I come in here, I feel better when I leave, no matter what, across the board. And that's also because I'm willing to let people in. When I very first started coming, I would come to the meetings, and I'm glad I did come, but I would skirt as soon as I could. And I'd do the same thing, before I would get there like right before it started, and I'd skirt. But the more I got to know, the people in here, the more I could see myself in y'all. And it wasn't so scary to become friends with you or to let y'all love me. Not everybody is going to be healthy in here. So remember, there's always sick people, but I've been really lucky on this path to find this group and this group of people specifically, and my litter mates and my family. I'm just grateful I don't have to drink anymore today. I know I missed so much, and here I am at the 7:30 mark. The thing I really just wanted to get across is hope. If nothing else, that you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to feel that way by yourself. Somebody else understands what you're going through. This year hasn't been perfect. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but that's life, right? And when I'm willing to talk to people about what's really going on and open up, when I've been blessed lately, I'm sure y'all probably don't call it a blessing, but I've had friends have surgeries in here. And so I've gone to their house to go on walks with them or eat with them or whatever, just anything to not think about me and what my life situation is or isn't. And as a result of this, my sister is healing. She's on her own path. I have a beautiful new nephew this year. One of my boys is over there. Try and think anything else. My sponsor said, I have the mouth, you have the words, God. I guess he didn't have very many. Oh, I know. I want to tell one more story. When I was little, my mom was pushing me on a swing in a park. And I kept looking back at her. And I remember it really vividly. I was looking back and I was smiling so big. And I'm like, this is the best day ever. And she's like, quit looking back. You're going to fall off. And I fell off and I busted my tooth. And it's still kind of gray. But I just realized like how much that I should have listened to that in my lifetime of quit looking back, you're gonna fall off. Because if I look back, I'm always looking back at the negative. Like why I have that filter naturally, and it's something that I have to work on every day with prayer and meditation. And really, guys, I think that's all I got. Pass the microphone.
What? Is this it or?
No, it's not it. We've got 30 minutes. We gotta get well.
Open meeting?
So I guess we'll open it up. Fanny,
Yeah.
do you have something you'd like to share?
No.
Do you want me to come up with something?
I think you should pick a second speaker.
Ooh. Oh.
For one. See the guy that came over here wearing the baseball cap who came back.
Bo.
Oh, why not? Come on, Bo.
That's awesome.
Drop a hot
Mini story.
What you got? Come on.
Aaron?
I got one.
Alright.
Oh wait, hold on.
Before we change formats here, I just wanted to speak about Rachel. You know, Rachel and I came in pretty close at the same time originally. You know, and she pretty quickly ended up being a positive force here in the rooms. I didn't get to know you for a long time, but you turned out being one of my lovely wife's best friends. So I have gotten to know you over time. And what definitely sticks out to me was, you know, I was blessed to get married earlier this year in March. And leading up to that, Carla was having feeling a lot of anxiety. She was stressed out, didn't feel like she had a lot of help it. To help that, how much you were there for her, and you know, I started seeing what a solid person you are, and that you can come through like that. And you know, I told Carla how amazing it is for us to have friends like that these days. We found ourselves in low places around low people, you know, and to be blessed these days to have people in our lives that have been such great friends and have become family. And it's like nothing for you to pop in with Ryder and it's like nothing to be around our craziness and you fit right in. And you know, it just this program's amazing, and I'm glad that you know you've been part of our family and our path, and you know it's great to hear your story. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks,
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, Bo, come share some experience, strength, and hope with us, don't you think? Surprise!
Bo alcoholic.
Hey, Bo.
My sobriety date's September 23rd, 2015. I just recently moved back to Houston from Louisiana, and before that I lived out in California for about 4 years, and so Feels really good to be back, and it feels good to be in a meeting. I got sober. I was out of money and did not want to go back to AA. And so I figured I was kind of just I was like one of those guys that was getting change from you at the gas pump, and I was like, man, I could just rob this store and get more money. I don't have a gun, but I could get a BB gun from Walmart, and I can rob this store. And so I went and stole a BB gun and held up a convenience store there on Stubner Airline in 1960. And from the time I made it out, somewhere in the robbery, I had dropped my keys. And so I got out to the truck, and I couldn't make my getaway. And so I got sober. The cops showed up. And so that kind of started my journey. And my sponsor came to visit me in jail, and some AA friends that I hadn't run off. And when I got out of jail, jail does some weird things to you. You talk different, you cuss a lot. But I went to meetings in jail, and we started a little meeting in our pod, and I wrote letters, and people wrote back to me, and thank you. But I get out of jail, and I don't know what to do, so I go to my sponsor's house. I've got a great plan about like catching a bus up to the rock bottom, and I'm not sure if they're going to let me in, and I didn't have a job, so my sponsor says, why don't you just come sleep on the couch, and we'll figure it out. And so I go to my sponsor's couch, and very angry, did not get a year chip at a meeting. I went to a meeting and just didn't want anything to do with it. So he said, look, whatever you do, man, just don't stop doing AA. And I was making calls from his house to see, hey, I got to get a job, I got to make some money, and I got to get off sponsor's couch. And he's like, no, you don't. You can stay here and go to meetings, man. And I said, yeah, that's cool and all, but ain't that cool. So went and called a guy that I had known in AA, and he did not stay sober very long, but he was in Ohio making great money at the time, and me and him were gonna get a motel and make a lot of money. And so I told my sponsor that I had met a guy, that I know this guy in AA, and he's sober and he's doing good in Columbus, Ohio, and I just think it's gonna be good. And I left out the part, that he smokes crack every couple weeks, and we're gonna live together. And so I went to my sister's house before I left. I had already bought a plane ticket, and I was gonna head up there. And my sister asked me, hey, who is this guy? And I told the truth. And I said, he's I don't think he's sober. And that's all I know. And just from that, I don't know, something changed. I just told the truth, and I wasn't planning on it. And Lanier just talked to me afterwards, and he's like, Bo, do you hear yourself what you're saying? And so I prayed and prayed and prayed about it, and something had changed. And about a day later, a friend of mine called me up from California, and he had 10 years sober, and he said, AA is great over here. Why don't you come over here? You ain't got nothing going on. And so I flew out over there to Coachella Valley, and got to see California and got to see AA. And it was really cool. Right out about 2.5 years sober, I started copping a lot of resentments, man, and I started having a lot of conflict with people in AA, and my meetings started to kind of slack, and I still held service work commitments, but I started working in treatment, and things were okay, but they weren't great with me. Things kept getting better. We ended up getting a house up in Yucca Valley, and I was kind of like, it was weird when you don't drink and you don't really go to AA, but your life continues getting better because you have like physical sobriety and you're showing up to work and you're saving your money and you're buying things, and so on the outside, like it was looking good, and I was not good. And if anybody from AA asked me how I was doing, I would always talk about some goal that I was right about to get. Like I was buying a piece of property up there, and I'm buying property, and I'm going to college, and just things are so good, but things were not good at all. I was just very isolated up there, not talking to anybody really, and I have to. I had made an amends to my sister, and my sister, she played a big part in my recovery, and she lived in Louisiana. She's handicapped, and I would talk to her almost every day, and when we would send letters back and forth, and anyways, she ended up, I got a call that she had died, and so we went to the funeral, and something had, I don't know, I remember being at the funeral, man, and just kind of like going, damn. It was a beautiful service, and I knew that I was way off track with AA, and so I come back to I drove to Louisiana and went to a funeral, and I come back, and I don't know, I just had a moment, and I ended up quitting my job, and sold the house, kicked out a roommate, and sold like all my belongings, and packed it all in the truck, and just went home. And so when I got to Louisiana, I had enough time to just kind of sit still for a little while. And while I was over there, I was still I started talking to Lanier, and I started just praying to God more, just doing like the basic things that they told me to do. I started kind of going back to meetings, and I think the biggest thing is I started to realize how sick I had gotten. And so I got Jeff living with me up in Louisiana, and he's got, I'm gonna put you on blast, dude. He's got like 35 days, and I'm 6 years and dry, ish, and he's buying guns, and we're just up in Louisiana, dude, and I'm like, bro, like, and I'm not in like Louisiana, like by a city. I'm like in central Louisiana. I am like not around anything. We can shoot in the backyard. I have burn piles everywhere, and it's just not around anything. And so, we're up there, and I'm just like, dude, I don't think this is going to work, bro. I don't really think this is going to work. And he's like, man, I know I'm crazy, and I don't want to say anything because every thought I have, I think it's crazy, but, living up here is cool and all, but, man, we need to go to AA. And so I was like, he's like, I think you're on to something. And then you know how we get those, and he says something that kind of like, he was like, I don't need to just go to meetings, but I need to get involved. And I was like, damn, yeah, you're right. And so we do what we do best is we quit our jobs. I love it. I love quitting jobs. It's just great. I love getting them and quitting them. And we moved down here, man, and I started coming to Alano, and I've been coming here constantly for like the last couple of days, and it's been great. And it's been great seeing all the faces. And I still have the house in Louisiana, and I'm just like, it's got to be a weekend house or something, because I just can't do it. I just can't stay up there like that. But so that's where kind of like my road has taken me. We are thugging it in a motel right now, waiting on a apartment to fall through, and he's got him a job, and I've got my CDL, so we are in the right spot. And he's already talking about quitting, and he hasn't even went to his first day. He's just like, these are the types of conversations that we have. Is he goes, man, once the apartment, they see because I've got the offer letter. They're gonna see the offer letter and approve us, and I can just go ahead and quit, and I can find a better job. And he hasn't even went to his first day, It's just like, but these are the types of things. So it's really nice to have this place 15 minutes away, where I can come and be with everybody and share, and it's a good spot. Anyways, thank you.
Glad you're back, Bo. And Jeff.
Sammy, I'm letting you guide this. I have no idea what to do. Hey, I've had to do it where I had a 5-minute enter close for Danny for his speaky things. They do this in other states. What?
Do what now?
Nothing. There are 5 and 10-minute speakers that totally exist
Yeah, they do totally exist.
in
all
other
the time.
states. I did that for
We
you.
have them here in our regular meetings.
Yeah.
We say free. Yeah. So, Matt should come up and close us out.
I definitely didn't expect that.
Keeping
It's,
everybody on their toes.
Yeah. At least I made it on the tape. That's kind of cool. Now it's cool to see Bo back again, actually, because when I started in sobriety, it was over at Champions, and I remember for some reason I've got this. There's a couple of things that I remember. One was like 4 of us on a Saturday at 4 o'clock. And we're all too early in sobriety to figure out who's going to chair the meeting, like just sitting there looking at each other. And Bo was always the guy to chair the meeting. And then there's one other story. He and Joe Saunders went up to see, we thought we had something planned out or whatever, and a big group of us from Champions went up to Lake Livingston, and we get there, and apparently it's private property, and there is a lady there. I just remember with like earmuffs on and a shotgun, and they have some kind of weird religion, and they'll allow us to stay for the weekend if we go to their service. And I said, hey, it couldn't be that much worse than AA, and but it was a lot of fun, and that's what like early sobriety was like for me, and it's cool to see like how how we stay connected and get to know people as we come in and get super close, and the relationships. Erica, haven't seen her in a long time, and I haven't been coming to. I guess I got a little dry too. I was out of work for a while. Seems like an honesty meeting, so I guess I'll go ahead and roll with it. But yeah, I wasn't doing. I stayed into service. I've got a good sponsor. Had the same sponsor since I got to AA, and he's definitely into service. So he wouldn't let me get too far away from AA. And even though I will say, like, the only thing that I haven't or that I've done completely right is to not drink. But the other stuff, it just kind of comes in waves sometimes. And what's been really cool about maybe the past year and a half is the people coming in that were new that I would get to know, and then they would be like, I'm at a meeting, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, well, you want to come? And I'm like, well, now that you say it that way, I guess I will. But that's helped me stay connected, and I'm getting close. This is another thing that will make you feel better. And I remember, Danny was there my first time telling my story at Champions. I think it was like 25 minutes, and I was done, and I was just like, okay, now what do we do? And so I was sitting back there as you were saying, and I'm like, I just get to go home early. I'm excited about that. It's not that big a deal. But I love AA. Of course, the relief is in the steps, and it's not always easy to get into the steps. But you guys make it easy because I just get to follow you and what y'all are doing. And, AA has made it a whole lot easier for me because when I got here, I didn't feel very comfortable in my skin, and I still have some of those days now. But as long as I keep coming, and I believe it worked for you guys, so it can work for me. And then also those kind things that people say that I never did believe were true in the past. Like my sponsor in my first couple of years, I remember people kept saying it to me. They're like, keep doing what you're doing. And, my mom didn't understand AA really at all. But after about 2 years, she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing what you're doing. And my sponsor said that over and over again. And, that's the truth. If you get involved, get around some good people, you can't really go wrong in AA. You can't do too much of it, as much as I don't like to say that and have to agree with my sponsor on that. So it's a great program, and I love it. I love you guys. It's good to see everybody again. Thanks for letting me share for a short time.
Well, thank you again, Rachel, for being our keynote speaker. Thank you to our other two speakers for chiming in as well. So we'll give Rachel another round of applause. I've been thrown for all sorts of loops today, man. I'm disheveled. Anyways, disheveled, I think. I don't know. Who knows? Not me. Shocking. All right, so we will do chips. Here at the Cyberswift Group, we're on a chip system. The first chip is Desire Chip. It's an outward token of an inward desire to stay clean and sober for the next 24 hours. Does anybody want one, need one, or trade a wet one in for a dry one? Yes, ma'am. Come on, get it. So So since we'll be finishing a couple of minutes early, her name is Katie, so if we all want to swarm her ladies afterwards, just stay tuned for a second. Okay? We'll put you on blast, but afterwards. See? Everybody's getting it tonight. All right, so next we have earned sobriety. We have 30 days. Yes? 60 days? 90? 4 months. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 18. Yours are multiple were celebrated last night. Does anybody have a November birthday? Ooh. Oh, back in the back, Jake.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to. I didn't.
Come on, Jake. All right, fine. Then with that, we'll end it and circle up and close in the usual fashion.
Okay, hands are done.
Come on, I even washed and brought your shirt back. From a long time ago. Joe, will you take that?
Yeah, sure. Who loves us and keeps us sober?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Keep coming back, it works if you work it.
Dang, how much you putting on?
Shit, it's better safe than sorry. Right? On both sides. I was talking about your chair.
Almost done already.
I do too. I actually like that. You know, I was sort of thinking the whole time, I'm like, we could do something like that.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?